Well, hey there, everybody. It's Chris from the Rate the Record podcast. And guess what? It's time for the very first NMR of 2024. It's been a little while since we've done this, minus the, the best ofs that we did at the end of 2023, but brand new songs, brand new year, brand new format, kind of. Instead of 3 songs, I'm doing 4 because the podcast is on hiatus. I have a little more time to do this. So yeah, I'm going to do 4 songs today for the NMR, and I think we should just go ahead, get started, and check them out. So first up on the NMR today, we have the band Fleshwater, and they are a 3-piece alt-rock band out of Boston, Massachusetts, and they've been around since 2017. They've released an LP, and they've also released an EP, and their second EP, Sounds of Grieving, just came out at the end of December, and the single that I found is called What the Fuck Was Said. This track definitely takes you in a few different directions, because a lot of the tones and the distortion are very grungy sounding, which is fine by me. I love like good crunchy distortion, muddy distortion too. That's kind of what it feels like in this particular song. You also have this like slowed down drum and bass style beat. Like if you sped this up, it'd be regular drum and bass, but it's slowed down for this one, but it's still a pretty quick beat. Regardless, it's kind of cool. And you also have these like poppy shoegaze composition and structuring, especially with the vocals as well. So you get a lot out of this one. It still has a fun energy to it, though, don't get me wrong. It's lively and warm feeling. Although it is relatively short, it kind of feels like it leaves you wanting a little more. It feels like a good time gone too soon, so that's the unfortunate part about it, but other than that, like, it is a nice sounding song. Overall, I love how experimental this track feels, and it got me kind of curious about the rest of their music too, so I kind of took a very quick trip down this particular album, Sounds of Grieving, and there was a lot to take in. It was very emotional, very noisy, but still like really interesting just to break it down very simply. This is a good track. I do like this one. This album really has me curious, so I'm going to have to actually sit down and listen to the whole thing rather than just take a quick trip through the entire thing, so I'll be doing that very soon. And in the meantime, you can check out the track. I recommend it, so go ahead, try it out. So number 2 on the list out of 4, yes, halfway point because we're doing 4 songs this week. We have The C.O.T.A, but I guess more specifically in this instance, Death Cult, because apparently they're going by an old name that they used to use back in the early to mid 80s, so they're kind of bringing back that sound. The C.O.T. or Death Cult are a hard rock and goth rock style band. Definitely more of the latter for this particular side of the project, and they're from Bradford, England. Regardless of how you look at it, they've been around for quite a long time. This EP, I believe, is called 8323 for as far as I'm concerned, because it also said Death Cult 8323. I don't know, this one's kind of confusing, but regardless, it exists, it's there, and I'm checking out their song called C.O.T.A, which is Communion of the Animals. Going back for a minute, when they used to be called Death Cult, apparently they had much more of a post-punk style in their earliest years, and that sound is definitely on display in this track. The song starts out with this big, bassy, hollow drum, and it's just thumping through the entire track. It's very much front-facing, and the instrumentals are very moody and kind of sad or somber feeling, as you would expect a post-punk track to feel. Nothing ever feels too bright unless you're talking about like New Order or something like that. But this still very much has that darkness and energy about it that's still very much fitting to the sound. I think of it as a strange mix between bands like Joy Division and Echo and the Bunnymen. I think my issue is that this track feels a little bit flat. It never really takes off too much, but you can't really expect too much from a song in this genre. Granted, there are plenty of exciting post-punk songs that kind of carry on a bit, but this one, also because the band's older, you can't anticipate too much. But you know what, it's fine, but just, I don't know, I still stand by it saying it's a little flat. Overall, I will say though, as an entire piece, that it is a pretty decent track. I mean, the production could use a little bit of tweaking, because I mean, that bass drum that goes through the entire song is very front-facing and kind of completely takes out any bass guitar that there is, which is kind of unfortunate because bass guitar plays a really cool part in a lot of post-punk music, so that would have been much better to hear. But other than that, it's a moodier track for sure. It's really not that bad. It's worth a listen if you dig the style, so go ahead and check it out. Next up on the list, we have the band Shoplifting. There is a band, or I should say was a band in the early 2000s called Shoplifting, but this definitely isn't it. This randomly came onto my Spotify recommended, and I decided to listen to it. It wasn't all that bad, so I was like, okay, maybe this will work for the NMR. It's something a little different, but I'll try it out anyways. It is one guy by the name of Jamie Penn, and he posted a Bandcamp link that when you try to click on it, it's just like a coming soon style page, so there was nothing to really look at. This was on certain streaming platforms such as Spotify, so that's how I was able to find it. And with the link that I have down in the description below in case you want to check out this track, it's so weird how you would find this song because it was actually through a video called Minecraft Music, but it's a shoegaze banger, and it is through Jamie Penn's channel, so it's official. Not only that, this song was released 11 months ago, so technically it's not new music for the NMR, but at the same time he's using this song to advertise his new album Mixtape dropping in February, so I'm going to count it as a news track. Wet Hands is the name of the song. Let's check it out. It's a little bit alt-rock, it's a little bit shoegaze, but it all comes together in this really warm, slightly noisy, albeit short track, because this one clocks in at just under 2 minutes, so you don't really need to devote a whole lot of time or attention, not a time or attention. You know what I mean. There's some nice muddy guitar riffage in the background with a very soaring lead guitar just playing over top of that for a good chunk of the track at the very least, so it makes it a pretty decent and entertaining listen. There's honestly not much more to say because again it's a very short track, so overall I think it's alright. I enjoyed it while I was on. It leaves a lot to be desired though, in my opinion. As nice as it just wasn't enough. It feels like more of an interlude or a song that you would hear like on the title screen of some sort of video game, hence why I guess he uploaded this as a video called Minecraft Music, but it's a shoegaze banger, so that definitely works. It's not a bad piece by any means though, so I say give it a shot. And finally, on the NMR today, the unprecedented 4th track for it. It's Royal Blood, and they are a blues rock, garage rock band out of Worthing, England. Some of these places I've just never heard of, but they definitely exist. They dropped their 4th album, Back to the Water Below, back in September, but to help promote the deluxe edition of the album that I believe is out now or coming soon, they released a bonus track, and that song I'm looking at today called Supermodel Avalanches. I really dig the guitar riffage in this track, and considering like the guitar is the driving thing because it's only a duo anyways, it's great. There's a great tone of that guitar. It's kind of muddy but still kind of crunchy at the same time. It's hard to describe. You'd know it if you heard it, so I would say listen to the track. The main hammer-on riff that you hear come back again and again through the song is also very catchy, so it makes it that much more enjoyable to listen to this one. I don't know too much about Royal Blood, so I can't speak on the band's past and their chemistry and everything like that, but it must be good enough because coming into this track and listening to this, so this is my like exposure to Royal Blood, the chemistry here is tight, like seriously. Everything hits so well in this track, it's so clean. I really love the precision of everything. It definitely adds to that like energetic and bouncy feeling of the song. I will say though that I was a little bit put off by the tonal change towards the end of the song in the guitar because it was just a sudden sharper sound and it kind of felt like a whole new track at that point. Not that it sounded bad because the whole song is pretty decent. I like it. It was fun. I definitely wouldn't like naysay it or anything like that, but it just, I wish it would have stayed a little more consistent, you know? And I know that instruments can change up in a song and sound different, but when it's like essentially the same distortion, but then you just change the tone a bit, it feels strange. So I don't think that was pulled off all that well, but again, it's still not terrible, I guess. With that naysaying out of the way, even though I said I wouldn't do that, overall, it is a fun track. There's some pretty good life in this one, so I definitely enjoyed it. It's also a little catchy too. It's short enough, I think like 3:10. I didn't write down the time, but I think it's like 3:10, so it's not even that long. Enjoyable, check it out. And there it is, the first NMR of 2024, back at it, and I plan on doing this weekly. Savannah obviously is on hiatus right now, so it'll be me that you'll be seeing for the next little while every single week, so long as I can keep this up. So thank you very much for hanging out with me and listening to these songs if you did, and if you indeed did, let me know what you think of these tracks down in the comments below, because I'm always curious to know what you think. I want to hear your opinions on them. I shared mine, I want to hear yours. Let's make this a discussion. That's how it works. So go ahead and do that if you so please. Speaking of doing things if you so please, you could always check us out at ratetherecord.ca. A whole bunch of stuff over there. I mean, more or less, that's like our home base, so that's why I have to say a whole bunch of stuff. all of our social media links, all of our streaming links. Even though the podcast is on hiatus, you can stream a whole bunch of stuff. You got 5 seasons of stuff to catch up on for a little while, so you got that. Not the RTR Club, but you could still go to ko-fi.com/ratetherecord to, make a donation or something like that. We still take donations, but the club's off. But regardless, that's optional. That's there. You can still request an album too, because when we eventually do come back, we can take a look at your requests. That could be a lot of fun. So just go ahead, check out ratetherecord.ca, and you'll find something fun to do. And as if I haven't already said it like 2 or 3 times already, yes, the podcast is on hiatus. Our last episode for Season 5 came out back in November. We did Rush for episode 100. And since then, we've released a bunch of bonus content. We did the best of Season 5. We did ranking on number 1s. We both did our best of NMR's 2023. So yes, that was Savannah's video that came out. So that was one of the last things she's doing before the hiatus. But now we have 2 more videos coming out. This past Monday was my ILTS video, I Love This Song. That series has made something of a comeback. And I did one on Dillinger Escape Plan's Farewell Mona Lisa, a song I've really liked. And it was a little challenging to dive into this one, but I totally took that challenge. It was a fun video to do, and I think you should check it out. And Savannah has one coming out on Monday as well, so make sure you give that some love when that drops. And that's it. I'm done. So once again, thank you very much for hanging out. I will see you next week again for another NMR. Until then, go listen to some awesome music like whatever the hell I listened to today, or whatever you want to listen to. That's fine too. And I'll see you again real soon. Take care, friends.